Monday, January 27, 2020. Last I checked, I'm Stelia Elavi, and these are the Cryptosphere's top stories for today. As the coronavirus spreads globally, it continues slamming Chinese and other financial markets, but does it affect the sphere? Some bad press for Justin Sun. The Tron chief is accused of workplace harassment by former employees in a lawsuit submitted in California. And finally, after weeks of cryptic tweets, Tesla's Elon Musk tells us what he really thinks of Bitcoin. At least 80 people are dead and more than 2,700 cases have been confirmed in mainland China as the Wuhan coronavirus continues to spread throughout Asia and the rest of the world. China is said to have quarantined approximately 80 million civilians, while others are taking precautions just walking down the street.
我感觉有点预防措施，无论心理上也好，身体上都是一份保障吧，应该说。
那个非典在以前的时候就发生过，就是国家对这些应该有应急措施，并且已经有了一个预防措施了，我觉得应该是这样的。
Now, the economic reaction was quick to come. Stocks around the world fell last week on worries that the new type of virus in China may ultimately hit profits for companies from Wuhan to Washington. As is the case in events as such, the cryptocurrency sphere is waiting to see what effect, if any, it might have on it. And to explore that question, I'm joined in studio by BLOCKTV senior correspondent Asher Westrup-Evans. Asher, we are taping this right now on a Monday before some markets around the world are yet to open. But what effects are we seeing, and can we correlate yet again, as is the case here, Bitcoin to possibly a store of value?
Right, yeah, so what we've seen so far, interesting results, mostly in Asian markets, a severe downturn. We've seen the Japanese Nikkei falling 2% on the day. Chinese markets, of course, closed for the holidays, so Shanghai, Hong Kong, we're not going to see indexes coming out from there. Right. Exactly, but from Europe as well, we've seen everything's still in the red as the day trading goes on, and futures in the US pointing to further downturns in markets there, a general tightening of the ship. As for your question about Bitcoin and a safe haven status, well, again, Yael, we're seeing that reconfiguration, that reconnection and correlation between gold and Bitcoin. We're seeing those two join together. We can even take a look at the charts here, take a look how it's gone. We saw Bitcoin last week there in the orange, taking its own steep dive, its own paths. But as this crisis came to bear, we see that reconfiguration right towards the right-hand side of the graph there. We see gold and Bitcoin back in lockstep again, as we saw in previous crises that have come out. This seems to be a repeating trend. Right. In times when there isn't that crisis, Bitcoin's off doing its own thing. But when people get afraid, they seem to be playing out that narrative. Needless
to say, that's not a narrative that's a favorite narrative of everybody in the sphere. But you and I had this discussion also a few weeks ago when the United States and Iran had their tensions. Precisely. And we saw the same correlation. All that said, when it comes to China itself, reactions from people in the sphere there? Right, look, I mean, it doesn't look like the intense actions taken by the Chinese government to stop the spread of this virus going to stop anytime soon. The standard week-long holiday starting January 25th for the Chinese New Year has already been extended formally to February 2nd. Now we're getting reports as translated and broadcast into the sphere by Dovey1. She puts out this tweet talking about the fact that Shanghai has just made it official they're going to extend it for another 10 days and that other major cities in China are going to follow that, meaning we could be talking into the month of February and beyond that Chinese factories are not allowed to open. Now, bearing in mind, this is the New Year's period. Chinese manufacturing does take a downturn during this period, as it would for, say, the New Year's period in the West. But that being said, factories not being allowed to open mean even those essential industries and essential factories that are working will be closed down, and in those major cities, they're really taking the effort to stop this virus spreading further, but it could have a serious impact on the economics. Yeah, they're not taking any chances, clearly, certainly, to put it mildly. Asher Westrup-Evans, thank you for the support. Earlier this week, research firm CB Insights said that investments in blockchain startups dropped significantly in 2019. However, the company also found that enterprise applications were thriving and dominated capital raised actually in the last quarter of 2019. Here's Ron Spitzer's report.
Despite the drop in total funding, investment activity in the fourth quarter of 2019 points toward an abundance of opportunity for blockchain and enterprise applications, according to CB Insights, a company that builds software to predict technology trends. Overall, the report found that funding in 2019 was down 28% from 2018's peak of $4.3 billion. Companies like Bitmain, that deals in mining hardware, and Coinbase, a crypto exchange, were the top two moneymakers of 2018. The companies raised $400 million and $321 million, respectively. In contrast, Q4 of 2019 saw companies in the blockchain space raise $785 million across 164 deals, representing a 36% decline from Q4 of 2018. Enterprise payments network Ripple raised the highest amount of funding in the quarter with its $200 million Series C funding round. In fact, investors are becoming increasingly more curious about enterprise solutions. The largest blockchain deals of the quarter went to companies looking to streamline business processes, like Figure Technologies that raised $103 million to continue growing its platform, Provenance, through which the company provides home equity loans, and Peer Nova that raised $31 million. The company's technology helps financial institutions manage their data workflows more efficiently. The space is still evolving, and the search for a use case to draw in investors is on. Ron Spitzer, BLOCKTV.
BLOCKTV's Ron Spitzer joins me in studio now. Ron, investors shifting?
So shifting may be led, but becoming smarter is definitely true. The data that they're looking at is coming in differently. So kind of a recent analysis by finance magnates revealed that since the investment data landscape has become so rich, investors are completely shifting their thought processes. So like legacy thinking is out at this point. It's considered risky, is what some CEOs of these companies were saying. And then they're looking at AI, machine learning, and other kind of alternative data, which is now in. Now, it looks like blockchain isn't exactly exempt from that, particularly with the ICO bubble. Investors learned their lesson in that respect, and they don't want to lose out. We can all understand that. So the feeling is that the level of sophistication of these machines or this data is now shifting, and will kind of inform maybe the use cases for these projects, and that's kind of the shift there.
And some would argue maturing
in
many ways. Ron Spitzer, thank you for this report. Tron's chief, face, and Twitter handle leader, Justin Sun, is a firm believer that there is no such thing as bad press, but even that mantra can be shaken by the latest news that the self-promoter is facing in California. A recent lawsuit submitted in the Sunshine State accuses the Tron frontman and his business associates of harassing and firing two employees, allegedly as payback for the employees' objections to management practices and applications of the technology they were developing. Joined in studio by Yona Hochhauser, who has all the details. So, Yona, what are they suing what are they suing Tron for?
Right, well, they're suing Tron, headed by Justin Sun, who is listed as one of the defendants for abusive workplace. And essentially, they worked for BitTorrent, which Tron bought last year. Now, they allege that Tron head Justin Sun did kind of a racial discrimination by focusing on hiring members only from mainland China. The lawsuit alleges the reason for this is that people from mainland China, according to the lawsuit, were more willing to work longer hours, were willing to turn a blind eye towards kind of iffy workplace practices. As well, the lawsuit alleges that Justin Sun actually slapped Kang Lee, who is the head of engineering. Now, what makes this weird is that Kang Lee himself is a defendant in the lawsuit. So the only thing worse than getting slapped by Justin Sun's hand is getting slapped by a lawsuit for being slapped by Justin Sun's hand.
Okay, that rendered me speechless. But that said, all that, has Tron had any reaction to this lawsuit?
Right, so we reached out to Tron. They say that because it is an active lawsuit, they have no comments, but they will defend themselves in the case themselves.
Good luck with that one. Yona Hochhauser, thank you for that report. An annual study carried out by the Bank for International Settlements asked 66 central banks worldwide if they were working on CBDCs, namely a central bank digital coin, and if so, what type and how far along they were. The report found 80% of the 66 banks surveyed were engaged in some form of work surrounding CBDCs, with nearly 40% having moved to experiments and developing proofs of concept. Overall, the number of banks working on some form of a digital coin increased by 10% in 12 months. Now, though, 70% of the central banks did say that it was unlikely they would release a CBDC in the foreseeable future. Another 30% of respondents said they had active plans to issue some form of digital currency, with about 10% saying that they were already developing pilot projects. Needless to say, none of those surveyed mentioned Libra. He tweeted about it, hinted, teased his opinion as to what it is worth, but now, finally, Elon Musk, the brain behind Tesla and one of the world's richest men, has made what he thinks of Bitcoin clear. And because we were all breathlessly waiting for that moment, here's Zaki Hennessy's report.
Elon Musk, the South African entrepreneur, billionaire, and megamind behind Tesla, is a prominent figure in the financial world and is no stranger to cryptocurrency. Over the years, Musk has maintained an arm's-length relationship with crypto. In 2017, his rich understanding of economics and his coding knowledge inspired a former SpaceX intern to finger Elon as the creator of Bitcoin, also known as Satoshi Nakamoto. Musk denied this in a tweet, saying that his friend once sent him some Bitcoin, but he didn't know where it was. Later in 2019, he was elected via Twitter poll to become the honorary CEO of Dogecoin. He responded in a tweet that Dogecoin might be his favorite currency and that it's pretty cool. The price of Dogecoin skyrocketed by 24% shortly thereafter. In January of 2020, Musk's views on crypto, and more specifically Bitcoin, have become slightly less obscured. After a couple of joking tweets declaring that crypto and Bitcoin are and aren't his safe words, respectively, Musk appeared on the Third Row Tesla podcast on January 20th, wherein he elaborated slightly on his opinion of Bitcoin.
I'm neither here nor there on Bitcoin, but in order for illegal transactions to occur, the cash must also be used for legal transactions. You need an illegal to legal bridge. That's where crypto comes in.
So it seems as though, for Musk, crypto serves a very specific purpose, but from his perspective, that's all it needs to be for now. Zaki Hennessy, BLOCKTV.
Zaki Hennessy joins us now in studio. And Zaki, what, if at all, does this mean for the sphere, and have people in the sphere reacted or tweeted about it?
So that's just the thing, Yael. While it's always nice for somebody as prominent, you can say, in the financial sphere or the economic sphere,
right,
somebody with this amount of knowledge, well, it's always nice when they start speaking about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency and calling attention to the environment that we all operate within. Generally speaking, this particular statement is underwhelming, to say the least. I mean, aside from a few crypto news outlets talking about the stories, ourselves included,
right,
the community response has been very subdued, if present at all. And this is, no doubt because there's this kind of understood idea that Elon is pretty much like a very hard beige, like neutral on cryptocurrency. He doesn't really.
He ain't no Dorsey.
He's not for it. He's not against it.
Okay.
He owns a quarter of a Bitcoin.
Doesn't know where it is.
Doesn't know where it is.
Yeah.
It's not really his bag, you could say.
Yeah, well, those who can afford to not know. But thank you, Zaki Hennessy, for this report. And it's time for Troll of the Day, for which we are joined again by Yona Hochhauser with a closer look at tact, or lack thereof.
Thanks, Yael. So Matti Greenspan tweeted, "History shows us that diseases are bullish. And Twitter shows us that you have no tact. Nothing says don't panic, like a chart showing statistically how the effects and reach of diseases are only getting worse with time. Phew. Thanks, Matti."
And I gotta tell you, Yona, it begs the question, what else do you think is good for business? How bad does it have to get for Bitcoin to rise? What kind of calamity are you
Black
looking
plague,
for?
I heard, is great for the markets.
The plague, you're bullish on the plague. Oran Spitzer with us as well. What do you think can,
Good old genocide.
genocide, you're bullish on genocide.
Absolutely.
We need genocide. And Zaki, of course, yes.
When you're walking down the street and you drop your ice cream cone and then you fall right into a messy divorce, that could probably, on a small scale, that really ups the chance of purchasing Bitcoin.
Thank you for that, Zaki Hennessy. Matti Greenspan, you don't have to tweet all the time, but we love you. This was BLOCKTV, Around the Block for today. Thank you for watching. For more blockchain, tech, and cryptocurrency news, visit us at blocktv.com.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.